Today, I'm talking about the importance of emotional needs, how to recognize if yours aren't being met, how to ask for your needs to be met, and how to differentiate between the emotional needs that you need to provide for yourself and the needs that can be met in your relationships. Now, we all have emotional needs, and this isn't an indication of neediness. It's an indication of being human. Our emotional stance is what differentiates us from other mammals. So it's important to realize, first of all, that emotional needs are healthy. Secondly, it's recognizing what is your job to fulfill and what is reasonable to ask others to meet, and any of the internal healing that needs to be done, any of the internal validation, any of the motivation needs to come from within. So you cannot expect your partner to always turn up with constant validation, with always having to be the one to get you going, with always having to be the one to push you forward in life. However, what you can ask them to meet is your need for connection, your need for assurance, your need for, I suppose, feeling loved, feeling appreciated, feeling valued, and feeling recognized. And when each partner's needs are being met sufficiently, then both people feel free to have fun. And that's what relationships are all about. Obviously, there's the more serious aspects of day to day life. However, you should be able to have fun and a sense of humor and play with your partner, and have curiosity and really create intimacy. However, if needs aren't being met, what tends to happen is a level of resentment builds up, there's a lot of bitterness there, and that will consume people alive, and it very quickly turns to contempt and to hatred. As well as that, communication begins to break down completely. It gets harder and harder to talk to each other without it escalating into a big row. And what you might find yourself doing is starting to confide in people outside of the relationship, and that's a big indicator that something is wrong, that you really feel that you're not being heard. But it's also a danger sign because, once you start outsourcing your help, you're relying less on your partner and yourself to fix your own relationship. It's nobody else's job to fix it unless you're going to a relationship counselor who can only guide you. They cannot do the repair for you. As well as that, you may find that the level of affection, your desire to show affection decreases, and again, this is a big warning sign that you're kind of checking out. The more this happens, the more you will find yourself imagining what life would be like without your partner. And that is when things can get very dangerous, because that is when, you're already viewing yourself as a single person and you're already on the lookout for what life has potential for without your partner. That being said, there is an appropriate way to ask for your needs to be met. It needs to be done in a very calm, healthy manner. And first of all, you need to take a really good look at what it is that you're asking for and whether or not it's appropriate to ask for it. As I said, if you feel that you're being undervalued, that you're not being recognized, that you're not being heard, that you're being ignored, or that you're not being appreciated for who you actually are, well, they are all emotional needs that need to be met. If you feel that there's not enough affection, that there's not enough, kind of sweetness within your relationship, that's an emotional need. However, if you feel empty on the inside, if you feel lacking in confidence, if you feel lacking in motivation and drive, that's all you. That's something that you have to repair by yourself. And if that is the case, well, it's important to communicate that to your partner, because if you're lacking in confidence, if you're lacking in motivation, they're going to be experiencing it as well. They're going to be feeling it too. So, it's important to explain to them what's happening for you. Then when it comes to verbalizing your needs, just pick a very calm environment, where there's not a lot of pressure. The kids shouldn't be around. You shouldn't be rushing out the door. Try to find a nice neutral location. No alcohol, so you're both fully rational, and sit down and explain to them, I really love you. I want to just our relationship to feel a little bit more intimate, a little bit more affectionate. I want to get the love back. Can we have a discussion about areas that I feel we could work on together? And when you put it like that, it's so less threatening to the other person. It's so much easier for them to meet you halfway. So it's really important how you verbalize things, that doesn't just come across as confrontational. Now, a few things to note. First of all, um, we rely on our partners to meet too many of our needs generally, and it's important to recognize that not all of your needs are going to be met by your partner, nor should they be. This is the reason we have friends. This is the reason we have other outlets outside of the relationship. It's not healthy to expect everything within the dynamic of the relationship. So work with your partner's capabilities, as long as they're willing to put a little bit of effort in, you need to be willing to put a little bit of flexibility and open-mindedness into things, and recognizing what they can do as opposed to always focusing on what they can't. Always remember that as a couple, it's you and the other person against the issue. It's not you versus the other person, It's important to remember that the end goal is that the two of you end up together and your relationship is a better place. It's not a case of I win, or it's not a case of coming being right or being superior. It's about creating a healthy space for both of you to flourish and both of you to appreciate each other fully. So work with each other's strengths and weaknesses, and keep those lines of communication open. Once you see things begin to change or shift, recognize it, it's so important that when our partner makes the effort, that instead of just, picking something else that they're doing wrong, that we fully appreciate, that we take time out of our day to be like, I really, really feel you making the effort doing X, Y, and Z, and I appreciate you for that. And it's just a little thing, but it means so much. And start complimenting each other, if your partner looks hot, tell them, even if you've seen them every day for the last 20 years. I mean, sometimes we disappear, or we feel like we disappear in our partner's eyes, and it's so important not to let that happen, to recognize each other. Highlight each other's strengths and remind each other of each other's strengths, because again, your partner should be your ultimate cheerleader, and it's so nice to feel that the person that you love has always got your back. So, take home message: you are entitled to have emotional needs. You are entitled to ask for those emotional needs to be met. But it's just getting discerning with what is an emotional need that's reasonable to ask to be met, and then knowing how to ask for it, And if it's refusal all the way, well, then you may need to look at getting external help with your relationship. If any of these issues resonate with you, or if it's something you'd like more information on, get in touch on the website. It's fundamentals.ie, or get in touch on Instagram or on Facebook.